The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Alrighty. It's Wednesday, the 24th day of September 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman, and we'll have a news break for you in a bit. Folks, how are you feeling? It's hump day, the middle of the traditional work week. Is everyone happy to be back at their place of employment? Don't answer all at once. I already know your favorite day of the week is Friday for the traditional work week, folks, because most of you don't like what you do for a living. And that's okay. That's okay. Nobody's judging. Nobody's judging. Well, I shouldn't say nobody's judging. I'm not judging you. I don't know what the rest of the audience is doing, but happy hump day, as they call it, the middle of the traditional work week. Hopefully everyone's had a good week so far. Suzanne Ingham says, it's super awesome Wednesday, Jamal. I love what I do. I love that. I love that. I think everyone should have the opportunity to wake up and do what they love. So appreciate you sharing that, Suzanne Ingham. All right, folks. Well, greetings to everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Naima Astwood, onto the show. Really looking forward to the conversation. We're going to be discussing her inspiring journey in policing and the important role women play in keeping our community safe. So really, really looking forward to the conversation with Deputy Commissioner Astwood today. The daily play is going to be music. Yeah, music today. So hopefully everyone's got their thinking cap on. Today is going to be a fun one. So stick around for the daily play today. And audience, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. So let's jump right. Well, good morning to you as well, Mark Arthur C. Phillips. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is gravy out on the docks for you. So we're gonna have some fun a bit later with the daily play, but we've got a conversation to have, and it's in continuance of pretty much the theme of our discussions as of late. And what that means is we've heard the Commissioner of Police, Darren Simons, and others speak about the numbers as it relates to police officers. We don't have the numbers we once had. So we saw some ads go out yesterday. And I know in the past, people were up in arms about, I mean, let's be honest. We're up in arms about any organization recruiting outside of Bermuda. And it fascinated me. And I've been am I an immigrant or an expat? And I'm being serious because I think that comes with some other things at play. But I say that because I've been an immigrant or an expat in the United States literally for my entire career, all about 3 years. And so for me, even when I was back in Bermuda working, I never really had the local attitude as it pertains to non-Bermudians in the workspace. Until I got to tourism, I shouldn't lie. I'm sorry. Until I got to tourism. But that said, the Bermuda Police Service put out some ads yesterday, and I just came across them on LinkedIn. You all know I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. And I don't necessarily understand all the ads, but I'll put the questions up for you first. So the questions of the morning are, what are your thoughts on the Bermuda Police Service hiring outside officers? What are your thoughts on the Bermuda Police Service hiring outside officers? And also, do you think recruiting non-Bermudians will improve the numbers? Like, do you think, and I say that, do you all remember they hired an education commissioner? He was some guy from the United States. This was back in like when the One Bermuda Alliance first became government, probably like the 2015, 14 area. They hired this guy, and you all ran him out of town. You went online, you found out he had been fired from his job in like Louisiana or something. My memory is an elephant when it comes to controversy, I swear. But anyway, I'm saying that y'all ran him out of town, right? You all ran that brother out of town. But I use that example because we've got people, I said earlier this year, I met with some nurses and they hadn't even been in Bermuda. I met with them in April. They had only been in Bermuda since November and they were unhappy. So I think it's a different time as well, when there was a time when Bermuda was the place that people wanted to come and work, whether it be policing, in the hotels or whatnot, a hospital. Now it's not that attractive. I spoke to a principal recently about, even bringing educators in. It's like it's not as attractive. So I say that because, is Bermuda even going to be an attractive destination for police now? Is it going to be a place that we can hold on to them? Getting them here is one thing. But like I spoke to those nurses, they got here, then they didn't want to be here, right? So the other question, do you think recruiting non-Bermudian officers will improve the numbers? Will improve numbers? Like, do you think it will do that? You can't hear me. Nicole Hassel says she can't hear me. You all can't hear me? I hope you can hear me. She says, I'm all for it. I'd rather do something than nothing. Okay. I'm not necessarily in favor of I'd rather do something than nothing. And I'll tell you why I'm not in favor of that. When I'll never forget when I started working in Bermuda tourism, and there was an election that was happening. This was December 2012, and the OBA, no, they didn't win. The PLP lost to the OBA. And one of the people in the office said, well, any change is good change. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. Change just for the sake of change, in my opinion, is not a good thing. So I don't know if I would rather do something. I get your point. I'd rather do something than nothing, but that something has to be of substance. It has to make sense. Economic sense, emotional sense, sense for the greater community. So I get what you're saying. Like, we can't stay put, but let's create a plan and hope that this plan works. So again, audience, question of the morning: what are your thoughts on the Bermuda Police Service hiring outside officers? And do you think recruiting non-Bermudian officers will improve numbers? Do you believe that recruiting non-Bermudian officers will improve numbers? So let me go over one of the ads for you, since you all. So untrained persons, $86,925.42 per annum. So the Bermuda Police Service is looking to recruit untrained persons to join our establishment for a contractual period of 5 years. Current serving police officers are not eligible to apply. We are looking for people who are highly motivated and embody our standards of professional behavior, such as honesty, integrity, respect, courtesy, equality, and diversity. We are offering an excellent opportunity to work in a multicultural environment. We are a service with established core values and a commitment to ensuring quality service to a multi-ethnic community. We are also an equal opportunity employer. All right, so that's that. So they have to go through a bunch of checks and evaluations for this position. Must have a high school diploma or equivalent. Caribbean Examinations Consul Secondary Education Certificate. So that seems specific. And the candidates must be from the Caribbean or British overseas territory. Now, that part I found very interesting, folks. And I'll tell you why I found that part very interesting. When I was growing up, you heard a lot of things about white British police officers and Bermudians and not being a great relationship. And I was going to say the relationships that many of the West Indian police officers built back in like the 90s and early 2000s happened through community. And what I mean by community, sports, right? Police had one of the best cricket teams. You had Dennis Archer on there, Roger Blades. These guys were embedded in the community. And I think Roger Blades even played a cop match one year or a couple years. But I think that recruitment aligns, and it aligns with the culture a bit more, I would say. But again, this is on your audience. What are your thoughts? Well, we'll go to Suzanne Ingham. She says, and that's just one ad. There's another ad that a lot of people were talking about as well. She said, I like the BPS is hiring outside because there will be no favoritism. You ain't getting off because your mama's brother's cousin's papa is in charge of something none on the police force. No favoritism. I appreciate that. That's a concern, though. That's a concern because we've been here before. The concern is that, you'll have police officers that will come in and there's something the police say when they're looking for information from the public. They say, or reach out to a police officer, My hope is that the police officers who don't necessarily know the community will engage and embrace them while doing their job and be supported by the Bermudian officers in trying to do their job. Because you're absolutely correct. That can be a good and bad thing, that they're going to enforce the law regardless, but also if that person's pulled over with someone's cousins, sisters, brothers, whatever, like what kind of tension will it create? So there's this, it's going to be interesting with that. But that's a long one. I'll read it from the side. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, the focus should be first on hiring Bermudians. Well, I think they've been trying to recruit Bermudians for the last few years, if I'm not mistaken. They did have recruitment drives. But he says, we know our own people and know how to diffuse tense situations between other Bermudians. Foreign cops bring their own cultural biases, which may be at odds with Bermudian culture. Also, we need to ensure our own people are employed. Lastly, we need to keep that money bring paid to cops in Bermuda. Or I believe he means increase pay for cops to Bermuda. I could be wrong. But I take your point, but I do believe they've been trying to recruit locally, but they just have not gotten the numbers locally. And that's not just the police, that's a bunch of industries. Nicole Walker says, I'm okay with it and hopeful that we get some experienced officers applying. We have to maintain a balance between new recruits and officers with experience in various areas, okay? Nicole Hassel says recruiting foreign workers will improve the numbers. The police service is shrinking. We are at the point where we have to do everything and anything. Fair enough. Fair enough, Nicole. Fair enough. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, yes, recruiting overseas will improve numbers, but this issue, increasing numbers, would be a non-issue if the focus was on retention of officers and getting clerical police officers out on the streets and have civilians tasked with these clerical functions. Well, retention, I thought, and I could be wrong. I thought that I thought they were losing officers due to retirement, like people aging out rather than people leaving, but I could be wrong. I thought that's what they had spoken of, not just the commissioner, but some of the assistant commissioners as well. But I take your point, Dr. Anthony Richardson. Charles H. Jefferson II says, first, I don't understand why officers are forced to retire at age 55, although they can return as a constable. Is this attractive for Bermudians looking for a career? 55 is young, in my opinion, start at home. That's a good question, and that's a question that we could put to the Bermuda Police Service. Why are officers pretty much forced or encouraged or expected to retire at 55 and then can return as constables? That's absolutely a good question. Charles H. Jeffs II. Maybe we can get an answer for that. Rhonda Trott says, we need a balance. There are pros and cons with outsiders. We have to establish proper policies and procedures irrespective of nationalities or cultural. I agree. I absolutely agree with you, Rhonda Trott. I think there has to be a balance because, again, it's all great saying, well, these officers will come in and regardless of who a person is, if they're, breaking the law, they're going to face the consequences. But we all know how that goes. Oh, that new officer from Trinidad or that new officer from St. Vincent or whatever. Like they don't know Bermuda. There has to be a balance. They have to be able to do their job, but at the same time, they have to understand the community and get to learn the community too. But it would all help if all of us, and I know people say, well, we all break the law. Everyone goes over the speed limit once in a while, regardless how good they live. I mean, people get caught speeding on the way to church and speaking of that, why would the police be trying to catch people on the way to church? But anyway, that's another story. But my point is, I think a balance is important, Rhonda. I definitely agree with you. Michelle White says, hire the best persons for the role. Bermudians are always considered first, but we must accept that many of our applicants do not meet the grade. Fitness associations. Absolutely. Polly Rich says, I have no issue with it. Don't think it will increase numbers to assist in helping to solve recent crime, but just to get up to normal. Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan, Express, and Secure. Thank you so much to them for ensuring that we can have these discussions on a regular basis. And if you're just tuned in, this is an important community conversation. So many people have opinions about it. And we do have a Deputy Commissioner of Police, Naima Astwood, coming on after the news break. Looking forward to that conversation. She has had an incredible journey in the Bermuda Police Service. And as a woman, hopefully she can inspire more Bermudian women to take this up as a career, but also, understand their role in keeping Bermuda safe. So looking forward to the conversation with Deputy Commissioner of Police Astwood. Dexter Smith says 43 unsolved murders and counting. We are almost 100 officers short. Experienced officers are required immediately. Our culture has rotted, not trying to hear that when women are being assassinated. I agree with everything Dexter Smith said, except the last part. And I think that's where we have to be careful, because I did say it last week, right? I did say, and had on my whiteboard, named the 4 women who have been murdered since 2020. But quite a few people were right and hitting me up, reaching out and saying, stop saying that because it devalues the other lives that have been lost, right? I have people, I'm going to be very clear with you, right? We have a community right now. When you say things like that, it makes it seem so that life was less worthy because you deem it so. I have people reaching out to me regularly. Jamel, you know where you're from. When was the last time the Bermuda Police Service has put out a press release on the anniversary of the death of Joshua Robinson, Kimrundi Robinson? Right? I get that. You all don't know that. But I get that. So I think it does come across a bit harsh when we say that. I get the point, Dexter Smith, because I said it last week. But let's not act as if any life that was lost prior was less worthy because of their gender or less worthy because of their race. It comes across harsh. And I would love to believe that you nor anyone who continuously says that feels that way. But I understand why people took my comments that way. And I understand why people may take your comment that way. Let's just stop it. Suzanne Ingham says, I'd love more local cops, but the problem with hiring Bermudians is there have been gang members hired, which equals bad cops. Really? I don't know about that. Well, I'm not saying you're lying. I just don't know. I can't confirm that. I don't know of that to be true. It says Bermudians have shown favoritism. That's a no-no. We don't need bad cops. That equals serious problems. I would hope we haven't had those serious problems, but I take your point. I think what you're saying in short is that we have a very small community. and policing in a small community could be tough because, we're related to everyone. But there was a police officer that took a lot of criticism back in the 90s and 2000s. They called him RoboCop. And people love this famous statement by so-called RoboCop because he's known to have said he would give his mother a ticket if she, was speeding or the like. And some people loved it, that the fact that no one was above the law to this cop, and other people thought it was harsh. I think that's on us. We have to decide what we want as a community. What do we want? Do we want a law-abiding citizen, or do we want favoritism based on who is committing acts? Miss Ellen Kate Horton says, we have always had foreign policemen. Yes, we have. But I think in this most recent ad, Miss Horton, I think something that stood out to me is candidates must be from Caribbean or British overseas territory. And I think back in the prior to the 90s and the 80s and before, there were a lot of British officers. And I think that created additional tension in the community based on my teachings, what I was taught and told and learned. We went through a period where there were a lot of Bermudian police officers, and they had created relationships in the community. And I think that made a difference when many of the West Indian and Caribbean officers came as well. Michelle White says, increasing numbers would support public appeal to actually see our officers out and about. Indeed, indeed. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, a female and male life are of equal value. All right, thank you for that. And Suzanne Ingham says, yes, Jamal, you got what I was trying to say. Bring RoboCop back, please. Well, I think he's well retired. But I definitely get it. Kristen White says, for me, women being murdered isn't saying men's lives were less than, but rather it seemed to me that this was a clear escalation in tactics. It seemed to signal a new direction. If direction the right word, it would be the same if a child was purposely targeted. May that never happen. Fair enough, Kristen. And that was my point last week when I said it, but I do, again, understand the criticism of people based on how it may have come out. My language hasn't changed regardless of who has been murdered. Carl Azul and I have these conversations every now and then. And as vocal as we may be, we experienced this back in 2009 and 10, and it wasn't on everyone's doorstep back then. So for people like us, it's like, okay, so now it matters because it's not just in our neighborhood anymore. That's where I think some of the people who are coming out are saying, like, it's been bad. But I take that point, and I don't, and that's why we had people like Wanae Crocker on yesterday. The importance of having her involved in the conversation, to actually communicate effectively what is meant by what is said. All right, folks, this was your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. We're going to do, I'll do a quick news break. So that we can get to the commercial and then bring a very inspiring woman onto the show, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Naima Astwood. I believe she's the first to hold that position since Deputy Commissioner Rosanda Young some years ago. So really looking forward to her journey in policing and what she has to say as the role of women in keeping our community safe. But let me get a news break up for you, and then we'll get through it and take a commercial break and bring her on. But in the meantime, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. All righty, folks. This is your daily hour news break brought to you by the great folks at Peoples. Midweek is midweek and you're on the move. Well, let's People's free parking, efficient prescription service, and all the extras make your hump day easier. All right, here's an update. Well, as mentioned, Hurricane Gabrielle continued tracking away from us after passing to our east. That Category 4 hurricane is still heading towards Azores, so it looks like it may be a fish storm. So luckily, we escaped that. There were no impact, despite people reaching out and sending love to Bermuda as a community. Alrighty, folks, thank you to the audience members who reached out about this morning. The public consultation period for the Bermuda Tax Reform Commission's 2025 report and related proposed tax credits closes today, September 20. No, tomorrow or today? 24th, 25th to 25th. All right. The ministry, in other news, the Ministry of Economy and Labor is reminding the public about updated laws preventing importation and sale of counterfeit goods in Bermuda. The Minister of Economy and Labor, Jason Hayward, JPMP, highlighted the importance of these changes, saying counterfeit goods are not just a global problem. They affect our local businesses, consumers, and economy. The new Trademarks Act 2023 and related regulations give Bermuda the tools to protect intellectual property and stop counterfeit goods from entering our market. The new law took effect on the 1st of August, 2025, making importing for sale or selling counterfeit goods illegal in Bermuda. As far as the weather goes, folks, expect a high of 80 degrees, partly cloudy, winds light and variable. That's your daily hour news break. And your days of the year, let me find something fancy for you. Something fancy. It's the 24th. Oh, days of the year. Kaylin Castle, I believe her music video is being released today. I forget the name. Ooh, she's not going to be happy. Anyway, her music video is being released today. I'll get you the name. Big Pressure, Big Pressure, Big Pressure. So check that out. Big Pressure is today. As far as in the UK, it's National Fitness Day today. National Fitness Today. So I'm going to ask the audience, and I'm getting in your pocket. I'm being a bit nosy right now. It's National Fitness Day today. Did y'all work out this morning? Did you all work out this morning? Did you work out this morning? Or are you working out today? Are you working out today? I'm going to be honest. I did my 2 miles this morning. I only did 2 miles because I was, I had to come and figure out a news break for this morning. So I did my 2 miles, and I had to do it faster than I normally would. But did you work out? It's in honor of our friends and the folks that tune in the UK. It's Fitness Day. What are you doing as far as fitness today? Did you work out? We've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, no, indeed, not this morning, fam. Okay, Mark, we've got the rest of the day. Just go for a walk at lunch. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, yes, 3 a.m. today, Pure Gym London. 3 a.m. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm usually up. I'll tell you my morning schedule, folks. I wake up at 5 a.m. Usually check my phone to see if anyone's not showing up to work. And then I, go do the, brush the teeth and wash the face and stuff. And just head down to the gym and get going. And my workouts always depend on who's on the show. I'm going to be real with you. My workouts depend on who's on the show. Why do they depend on who's on the show? Because for some people, they require a lot more time, preparation, and not just preparation in terms of like questions or not, but mentally and emotionally, you have to prepare yourself for certain people. So my workouts, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes an hour. It really depends. So if I get to the gym 5:15, I might stay to 6:15 and just rush up, get a shower, clothes ironed already, get ready, and get in studio for 22. But yeah, get a workout routine. I hope all of that inspires you. I shared way too much with you just now. We've got Nicole Walker says, took my nuisance dog for a walk at 3 a.m. Wow. A dog requires a walk at 3 a.m.? Man, I remember Bella woke me up one time talking about let her outside to do her business like 3 a.m. I'm like, huh? This is not life. We've got Kia Renee BDA says, gardening is my work. There you go. There you go. You know what? I was told by an outer that back in the day, a lot of men, their workout was building their houses. I said, really? Yeah. They were lifting brick. We've got Kristen White says, these 3 a.m. workouts are crazy, right? Be like on your ice cream at 3 a.m. All right, folks, we got to take a break. We've got a very special guest coming up. Folks, let everyone you know, this is the first time we've got Deputy Commissioner of Police, Naima Astwood, coming on the other side of the break. Do not go anywhere.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Ready to take your financial game to the next level? HSBC is here to help you power up your financial fitness. Your strategy should be sharp and ready for anything, because luck won't get you to the top. Whether securing your future, growing wealth, or planning for life's next serve, HSBC's experts are here for you. From budgeting to investing, let's craft a plan as unique as your goals. Plus, get free financial planning consultations to stay on track. Learn more at hsbc.bm/financial planning. HSBC Bank Bermuda is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Get ready for the cool Bermuda nights ahead. A CI-AC mini split AC unit from BAC Group is the perfect solution, keeping you warm this winter and cool all summer long. While supplies last, you can get a unit starting at just $913.50. Plus, receive an extra 10% off when you pay with cash or credit card at the counter. BAC Group, comfort for every season.
SCARS stands for Saving Children and Revealing Secrets, and we are a Bermuda nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce the risk of child sexual abuse and to be an advocate and a voice for children who've been sexually molested, as well as their affected family. New media like the Daily Hour is really important in partnering with organizations like SCARS. It's another platform for us for awareness. There can be no radio silence as it relates to child sexual abuse, and we need as many initiatives as we can get. We need to keep this message alive. In terms of us and the work that we do, live engagement is good because it allows the audience to ask questions, to make comments, even to provide us with encouragement and support. What I love about the live engagement when SCARS is being interviewed by Jamel is just this feeling of safety, this feeling that he gets it. He cares about children. It's a connection.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here. It is the Daily Hour, brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airway on Hot 107.5 with these most important community conversations. Folks, please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Folks on YouTube, make sure you do us that favor and give us a like, love, follow, share the link, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure everyone you know has access to these most important community conversations as possible. Folks, we have for the first time on the show, I just heard some bad news about her, and I'll talk to her about this. They say you can't choose two things, I guess, where you're born and your family. And apparently she's a Somerset West Ender. We at least 2 days of the year, we don't do the West End folks on, this side of the chair. But anyway, let's give a warm TDH welcome to Deputy Commissioner of Police, Naima Astwood. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm okay, but Miss Ellen Kate Horton just wrote a comment. She said, I agree, a very, very special guest, a West Ender, yay, Somerset.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. 100%
oh,
from East Shore Road, West End Primary. Let's go on to Berkeley, but definitely
oh,
Somerset fan all the way.
I
Every
definitely wouldn't have worn my fall colors today if I had known that.
well, see, it's a subconscious thing, and you know that that's the better team, so that's what you did.
Yeah, I've gotten accused of some of my red and blue certain times of the year, but Deputy, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and engage us. For such with what I feel is an important conversation regarding so
Absolutely.
many things in Bermuda. Before we jump into the conversation, though, I got to get in your pocket about fitness because there's fitness tests all about police, and it's UK, it's National Fitness Day. Do you do anything for fitness on a daily basis?
Well, I was going to say full disclosure, I didn't go exercise this morning, but traditionally, I'm not really been a fitness buff.
Mm,
However, which I probably talk about a bit later, as you know, I am in remission with cancer and I'm trying to get my body back in order. And part
mm,
of that is that I have started spinning. I know I can't say the company,
yeah.
but the gentleman that has been helping me with spinning, building back my muscles, my strength, has really been helping me. So I really do try
Oh,
to stick with the spinning, and it's really working well for me.
congratulations on that. And I don't think I knew that, but thank you. Thank you for being open with us. Well, let's jump into your career. So I when I read this, I was like, wow, 17. So
Yes.
you started as a cadet at 17 and you've worked your way right up to the position of deputy commissioner. First off, what made you want to get into policing? And when you look back, what have been some of your biggest challenges in your career and then your proudest moments?
So at 17, when I was finishing at the Berkeley, myself and my very good friend Yolanda Bashir were wondering what we was going to do with our lives. And she said, "Oh, let's join the police cadets because they pay to go up to the Bermuda College, and we could do that for a few years and, go off to university." So we joined the cadets, and during the cadets program, they allowed you to go into attachments to different units.
Mhm.
And one of the attachments that we had was to the traffic department
Mm,
when we had it at that time. And I fell in love. I loved it right away. And
mm,
I said, I want to go on the police and I want to get in traffic and I want to ride those bikes. That was like a huge goal for me.
mm,
And so I joined the police, in all frankness, with not a lot of longevity in mind. I was thinking I would just do a few years, go off to university after that. But as you could see, 31 years later, I am still here. And you ask your audience a question in the beginning, do you love your job? And I can say absolutely. I'm not going to say it's always been great, but every day I'm very excited to come to work. I absolutely love my job.
I love to hear that, honestly. And I make no apologies about that. I love when people love what they do because those who they do it for are
Mhm.
more likely to benefit. So thank you for sharing. Um, there's been some firsts for you. I
Yes,
believe first Black Rod.
yes.
And you're the first woman in this current role since Rosanda Young. How do you hope your journey inspires other women in Bermuda, not just in policing, but in general?
Well, firstly, when I say other women, actually, I'm going to start first with my two children. I have a 13-year-old and a 23-year-old, and I just want to be an inspiration to them. When I first joined this job, it was exciting, and then it got challenging because I had my first daughter. I was in my 20s, and at that time, we was doing shift work, which
Mm,
was 7 days on and 2 days off. And I have a great big family, so I had a lot of support.
mhm,
The challenge with that is that, people would watch your child when you're working, but when you finish work, you're equally as exhausted.
right.
But you still got to manage those times of trying to pay attention to her at that time, my daughter Medina, and also try to get some rest. And at the same time, I was still trying to finish Bermuda College, and then other schooling. So I was trying to manage all of that at the same time.
Mhm.
So I want to just make sure that all of the sacrifices I made, that I am an inspiration to them. And
Mhm.
as you know, children outside of anyone else, they will call you out. They'll call you out. They be saying, "Mama, I saw you on the news. I saw you say these things." And if it's not marrying up with what you're doing at home, they would definitely call you out. So my biggest step is really for them,
Mhm.
and then obviously translating to other women in the community and other men as well
Mhm.
within the community. Joining the police is not easy. My bossy commissioner always says it's like running with the bulls.
Mhm.
Sometimes you get guards, sometimes you are the one that's doing it yourself. But
Mhm.
it's a huge challenge, and I will probably say my hugest challenge was, for a time I was a single parent
Mhm.
managing my daughter.
Mhm.
I am a devoted Muslim, making sure I can put my prayer times into my workday, making sure my supervisors knew that. When I had my daughter, I was very committed to breastfeeding.
Mhm.
And I did that for 2 years for both of my children,
Mhm.
finding somewhere to express and just trying to make it work, because although we have moved into a modern society,
Mhm.
people still look at the woman to raise children, to do the lion's share of the nurturing. So when you are not there for the events that people think you should be there,
Mhm.
sometimes you could feel internal shame. People could make you feel shamed.
Mhm.
So just for me, that is everyday women. I'm an everyday woman,
Mhm.
just going through life. I've had my two children. I'm married. We
Mhm.
all have our challenges raising our children. We
Mhm.
all go to the grocery store and get sticker shock, and we're saying, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" So just to see that is not something that's unattainable. That when people see themselves, it's like my colleague always says, when someone takes a picture, the first thing you do is look into the picture to see yourself. That's human
Mhm.
nature.
Mhm.
So when people look up and they see me in the role of deputy commissioner, that it's not for a select few, that these roles are open for anyone who's willing to try and go through those challenges.
Mhm. You made me think, and I've shared this on the show before. You made me think of 2008 when Barack Obama became the president of the United States, and many commentators on various networks would always say this is the first time, and it's no different from when Kamala Harris became the vice president, but this is the first time that little black children can look and see themselves in that position. With Kamala Harris, little black girls could see themselves in that position, and I think that's the thing with having women in certain positions. It's like, oh, I too can do that, because as you said, women weren't always seen as people to be in these kind of roles. So it is inspiring to see it, and even as a male, it makes you believe that, oh, okay, well, maybe I could
Mhm.
attain something as a black male. I don't have to go this route. Let's transition. And audience, if you have any questions for Deputy Commissioner Astwood, please send them through or get through as many questions or comments as possible. Suzanne Ingham's flattering you. She says, Deputy, 31 years, you don't even look 31.
Thank you.
But we've had some recent gang violence.
Yes.
What role can women, mothers, mentors, community leaders play in preventing this violence, but also healing?
Hmm. Well, what I'm going to say probably isn't going to go over well with most people, but I'm going to speak my truth in the sense of I've been on with the Bermuda Police for 31 years, and to be quite frank, all I have seen is mothers. Mothers, I've seen aunties, I've seen grannies, I've seen cousins, all coming to represent their loved one, which, is typically a young black male and
Mhm.
older black males. And I think the question really shouldn't be always what women can do. I think we have been doing. I think that
Mhm.
there is a demographic that has not showed up
Mhm.
and that needs to show up, because women innately, not all, but innately are nurturing. and we want to make our children happy. And we come from different perspectives. So when we only have that female perspective that is sitting in a certain thought pattern, then you're going to see different things translating into our community that we just do not appreciate, which we don't like, and now it's hitting back at our doorstep. So when you ask what women can do, I think we have been doing, we have been showing up. I think it's time for others to show up.
I absolutely appreciate the answer. And I mean, my mother showed up, my godmother showed up. Um, Thankfully, I come from a family where if my father was unable, my uncle showed up. And I appreciate the privilege I had, and it shouldn't be seen as a privilege. As a former coach, I coached North Village youth teams from 2007 to 10.
Mhm.
And I often bragged. I said, well, of all the players, every father showed up except one.
Mhm.
And I've never shared this publicly, but the one player whose father didn't show up regularly got in a lot of trouble in the last couple of years. And I shared that because I think it's necessary to make the point in what you're saying.
Absolutely.
It's extremely necessary. And I think I don't want that to go over anyone's head. And I don't think anyone should take offense. I actually appreciate that she felt comfortable enough to be real and answer it directly like that. If anything, I think there need to be a lot of mirrors in front of us asking, why is this the case? But continuing on women, there is this expectation in our community on women. I read something recently someone shared. They said, they continue to go to the PTA meetings, women, the classroom, the teachers, women. And this is no offense. We need everyone.
Absolutely.
But what unique strengths do you believe women actually possess that they bring to police and community safety that differs?
We bring so many things that vary, and before these questions are always tricky because you don't want to come across as that you're male bashing or anything like that, which I'm not, because I grew up with a wonderful father. I have the best husband in the world, and I have lovely brothers. But we just need to recognize that we come from different perspectives, and each perspective is important. And I know years ago I was at the FBI and I said, we are like salads, together we make a wonderful salad. Individually we're great, but if we value what each person brings to the table, then we don't take offense to it. So when it comes to women, just traditionally, within the organization, I lead the officer safety program and portfolio. And what you can see is that women just traditionally have de-escalation skills. I look at the different incidents within the police service, and it will be worldwide that women are just involved in less instances of violence. We tend to have more collaborative teams. Even with me, if I want to go through anything, I'm like, let's call a meeting, let's talk about it together. Women are just innately just from that space, not saying all, but just generally. And we are multitaskers. I mean, you have to give us that we are just multitaskers. We are able to manage different projects. We have managed to manage different people's feelings, and those are the things that we bring to the table that comes from a female perspective, that when that is absent from the executive level of any organization, you are missing those key elements and progression within the organization, which actually translates to our community.
Yeah. I laugh because I'm like, man, why is she talking about me? Multitasking isn't my thing. Everyone knows that. So I'm
Yeah.
and I get what you're saying. It's I think what you're saying is not really based in opinion perspective or just your experiences, but actual articles and facts that have shown over the years that what you're speaking of is just the reality. And audience, I'll get to some of your questions. Actually, let's take some questions now because there's a lot coming through. Kristen White says, speak on it, Naeem. And we've got Miss Ellen Kate Horton says, real talk. We've got Sienna Trott says, very true, Madam Deputy. But we've got Dr. Anthony Richardson. He says, in your opinion, based on your experience in the BPS, why aren't the fathers showing up?
Ooh, I think that if people are not showing up in the beginning, they're not going to show up in the end. And when we encounter persons that engage with the police, that is really at the end. And the question really should be, why are they not showing up in the beginning? So when they come to us and engage with us, this is really after many different hurdles. They've gone through nursery, preschool, they've gone through high school, middle school. When we have contact with them, that's more at the end. And I think what my encouragement will be is that we need to encourage that from the beginning.
Indeed. Let's go to Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He's asking, how do you and your colleagues handle some of the intense stress that comes with policing in a small community like Bermuda? Oh, good question, Mark.
Well, we say stress is part of the game, so we signed up for this, right? Just me personally, as I said before, I am a Muslim. I pray at least 5 times a day. I fast. As I just said, I also exercise, and we talk a lot. Commissioner and I talk a lot on a daily basis. Our whole command team at that. And we just work through different points, but also I have a really great family who sometimes when they see things happening in the media, my sisters will call me and they will force me to stop. They will say, I must stop, go take a break. You're going to need it because you don't see that you're going too fast. So it's really a collaborative effort between our colleagues. You know, the really good part about being in the Bermuda Police Service, you know, just under 400 officers and, you know, obviously support staff, is that we do know each other. And we do know when someone loses a parent or when something tragic happens that we can reach out and connect with them. So that is really a benefit within the Bermuda Police Service, that we know each other and we could check each other as well, which we do. Trust me.
You've been very open with us this morning, very direct, very shared a bit about your personal side. Earlier, you mentioned the health challenges you faced. Speak to the importance of having family support in this sort of career, but also the support it seems like you have of your colleagues, especially your relationship with the commissioner as you were going through your health challenges.
So I went through, that was a very challenging time, probably one of the challenging times of my entire career. It was in 2021, and it was just as they say, a storm in a teacup. It was September, and I was actually just trying to celebrate the 10th anniversary of my mom's passing, and she had passed from cancer. And a friend, a colleague, a very good colleague of mine came to me and said, listen, I think I may have breast cancer. I'm going to go for some tests. And me being optimistic was like, girl, don't worry about that. You know, we don't carry on. We don't smoke. We don't do these things. We're fine. And I have you. And then just a week later, I realized a lump on my left breast as well. And I was actually didn't want to talk about it because, you know, if somebody comes to you about something like that, you don't now want to make it about you. And we both went for tests together. And on the same day, we realized that we both had breast cancer. In the same period, my father was diagnosed with cancer. So I didn't want to really tell him because I didn't want to stress him out. And then in that very same week, that's when I was appointed as the acting deputy commissioner. And all of these things were going on. And I was saying, I don't know if I should be doing this acting deputy role because I don't know what's going to happen with me. My cancer was a bit worse than I had thought. and it really took its toll on me. But what I can say is I never complained about it. I have faith. I believe things happen to you. They test you. You know, who are we to say that we believe and we will not be tested? And that was part of my test. But I have a huge family. My brothers, my sisters are very supportive. I have great friends. And my boss, you know, was very, very supportive. In the beginning, I didn't tell anyone about what was happening because, you know, I had these own internal pressures of I was the acting deputy, you know, was I living up to the expectations of people, of to myself? And then I had to tell people because I was going for chemo and I had long hair and I knew it was all going to be dropping out soon. So I ended up having to be honest about that. And I also had to tell my father as well because I said I would have seen him at the hospital for chemo. And those were very trying times because I was in a new role. We, you know, we was just getting through the COVID period, trying to support my friends, just supporting me, trying to support my father. Unfortunately, in that whole period, he passed away, and my colleagues were just, you know, they were the best. They were supportive. Um, the downfall for me is that I just tend to just keep going and going. And in hindsight, I should have taken more time for myself, but I didn't. But I just kept going. I remember I was going to chemotherapy and had my laptop with me and still trying to do work. And I don't know if that's part of just a part of me, a part of being a woman that we, you know, we feel like we just have to keep trucking on no matter what is happening. Um, but my colleagues were great. They was very supportive. You know, they checked on me, etc. So that was a very challenging time, but it wasn't a sad time. You know, things happen, and we have to walk through it because that's who we are. You know, I have strong parents who, you know, we wasn't born to break, so we just keep pushing on, and that's what I try to instill in my children, that life will happen and you can either be sad about it or you can just face it head on. And my mom and dad taught me that. I'm trying to teach that to my children, and that's one thing that I would like for the community to also do as well, is that just because something bad happens, that doesn't mean everything is over. You know, there's always a positive way, there's always options. And more importantly, to have faith. I think, you know, if you ask me what's going on in our community, I often hear people say, oh, I'm not making my child go to church. I'm not making my child do this. I said, but you make them go to school, but you make them go to football because you paid for it. So when things go wrong, what is their faith base, what is going to keep them going, what is going to push them there, because we all need that internal. It's only so much that the human person can do, and you have to do yourself. So if you don't have a strong sense of self, then that's where things break down. And I think that is really important. What is missing is people's faith in the higher being. That's my personal view.
Wow. I'm going to echo Kristen, right? Kristen White says, what an incredible testimony. Thank you for sharing. James Burgess said, amazing story. We've got Ellen Kate Horton says, so heartwarming. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think what Deputy Commissioner Astwood just did was remind us all that no matter what uniform people have, the titles, stature in our community, how big their pockets are, bank accounts, or whatever they drive, their house. She humanized people just now. And I think it's important for us to remember that as I go into the next question from Mark Arthur C. Phillips about, he's asking, does it frustrate you when people blame the BPS for some of the socials that occur in our society? Is, you know, the police are as human as us. Yes, they have a role to play that they get paid to do, but we also have a role in the community. But to answer his question, Deputy Commissioner.
No, it doesn't frustrate me because people have their feelings, and the police do have a role to play. You know, we are the law enforcement arm. But as I said to you, when we have to engage with them, we are at the end. And I think that we have started to see the turn in the community that realizes that we are not going to police our way out of this. I've seen on Facebook where people say, bring in Scotland Yard, bring in these people. Well, I could tell you that is not the answer, because even if you come bring these people in and you feel that they're getting rid of the problem persons, well, I've been in here for 31 years. The challenging people just evolve. The people that I dealt with when I joined at 17, 18 are not the same people that we are dealing with today. So if we want the microwave effect, then that's what will happen. We will deal with the people in this moment. But if we don't deal with the root, then it's just going to be new people coming to our attention in 10, 15 years, 5 years. So we have to look at the bigger issues of, from birth, the engagements with these children. We have gotten into a space of where we are minding our own business. And we need to get back into the space of where we mind people's business. Because when we don't mind people's business, when we see a child coming in from school and no one's there, and if you can help, say, well, listen, I'm home as a parent, I could take this child to my house, doing different things like that, saying, I see a child walking in just a couple of weeks ago, I was going to a meeting and I saw a Cedar Bridge student walking past 9 o'clock. Now I have a 13-year-old. I'm saying, well, if that was my child, I'd be like, where you going? I stopped. I said, where you going to? And her answer wasn't great. I wasn't doing the enforcement thing. I was doing the parental thing. I said, give me your mom's number. I called her mom and said, listen, I found your child walking at the back of the police station away from Cedar Bridge. And she says, ma'am, I dropped her off at 8:30. And I took her back. And that's what I'm saying, minding people's business, getting involved, rather than looking and saying, I know she ain't going to be in school. What's going to happen to her in a few years? Our youth need to feel that everyone in this community is watching out for them and are not just watching out, they're going to take steps to try to correct them. I don't know what I saved that child from, but she may also be thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this again because I don't know who's going to stop and take me back to school and call my parents. So, that's really important that we start in this journey of mending and mending the hurt that's already been there, but also just starting from young. So do I get frustrated when people say those things? No, because I don't think people are trying to be facetious about it. It's a feeling. People want to feel safe, and everyone wants to feel safe. No matter, I want to feel safe when I go home and I lock my door. I want to feel that I am safe in my house. That's a genuine feeling, but it's not a policing issue. It's a collective issue. And when we address the collective issues, then we can start seeing positive results.
So I have a follow-up on that, because just yesterday I had asked both Wane and Tanae, who were on yesterday, had they been to the African American Museum in DC. And
I have, yes.
I got so much, and I shared one of the pictures. I've just learned this AI thing, how to just type something in my phone and find a picture just based on what you're looking for. So it found it for me yesterday, a picture I had taken, and it was a part of in the museum. It was this picture, and I made a video of it on my socials yesterday. But it was speaking about gangs in Los Angeles in 1970. There were no gangs that existed in South Central LA, and in 5 years there were 150 gangs, 30,000 members. And my question at the end of that is, we speak about CCTV and police and Scotland Yard and all this stuff. But my question to you as the deputy commissioner is, why do you believe we're so afraid to address the root cause? Because those gangs in 5 years in LA, that was, it didn't just happen overnight. That was, it came to be because of something, right? Why are we so afraid to address that because of something in Bermuda?
I wouldn't necessarily say people are afraid. What I would say is that people want results today. So addressing the issue is long term. Addressing the issue takes money. Addressing the issues takes people to really step back and want it, because sometimes, my husband always says sometimes, we should have a license to be a parent. Um, you can't always go in and force your way into people's families. So I don't think that it's necessary that people are afraid. People are in the here and now.
Mhm,
They want to be able to feel safe here and now.
mhm,
Yes, as parents, aunts, etc., we want to have a better Bermuda for our children, our grandchildren. But we have to do both of them simultaneously. We have to do with the here and now,
mhm.
but we also have to find the space and carve it out to deal with the root causes. And I just think that that not only just takes time, as you know, if you've sat on any policy committee, anything like that, it's just you gotta have that longevity with it. And the problem is that even when we start these things sometimes, the new glittery thing comes along and then that project gets put to the side and then we're working on something else where we haven't given the initial project time to mature through. So I don't know if it's necessarily afraid, but necessarily that the time and energy that it takes if people are willing to stick in with it.
But you also said something that I hope doesn't go over people's heads as well. Is I said that these gangs didn't happen overnight, and so basically, audience, solving the problem isn't going to come overnight.
No.
It's a process. Um, Let's go back to a question we had earlier from Charles H. Jefferson II. He asked, "What percentage of this service are currently women? What has been the high and when? And would Deputy Commissioner Astwood like to see more women join the service?" Well, the police are currently recruiting, which we were discussing earlier. They're very specific in terms of what they're looking for. Is there a hope that there will be more women?
Well, currently, if you look globally at police services, they are not really as high as Bermuda as far as the portion of females. So we have about a third of our service are females. So we are doing well in that aspect. Would we like to see more? Absolutely, because we want the police service to represent the demographic of Bermuda.
Mhm,
And we know that women police officers generally do well in areas such as domestic violence, crimes and violence against children. In different areas, we just tend to thrive. And not only that, that's where people tend to want to deal with a female officer in certain instances. So we are doing well. Would we like to see more? Absolutely. Sorry, just bring back up the question to the second part. Sorry.
no problem. It was Charles.
What has been the high and when? I think for me, I've had so many highs, from young. My parents just taught me to celebrate each each exciting moment as it came. Anything that would happen, my mom would have bought me a balloon and just stood outside the police station and said, congratulations. So I've had a lot of highs, but I will probably say one of the highs for me was when I was actually being sworn in at Government House.
Mhm,
And the reason that was a high for me was obviously, just a year past my treatments. I
mhm,
was, still recovering from that. But using the Quran to swear in as the deputy commissioner in front of my children, in
mhm,
front of my husband and family was definitely a high moment for
mhm,
me because of what it represents. I know when I first joined, everyone was given a Bible to swear on to become a constable, and I had challenged that with the then head of training, and I said, "Oh, I'm Muslim. I
mhm,
don't think I should be having to do this," and it hadn't been spoken of before, and it changed. And now, years later, when we went to swear in new recruits, we have so many different religions and we are respecting each and every religion, which it should be. So, as I held up the Quran in Government House for, I believe, would have been the first person to do it in that role, I was very proud of that moment, just to show the humbleness of the religion of my family. And it was just really a proud moment for me, I must say.
I love and appreciate the way you lead with your faith, especially in 2025, where people are very shy about their faith for whatever reason. But I appreciate that you've been able to have those moments yourself. Myself, just being honest and open. Those who come into my apartment would know that on my coffee table in the living room, I do have the Holy Quran, the Holy Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, as well as the Rastafarian Prayer Group book. And the reason I have those is because there's things in every book for me to remain grounded and understand that it's never only because of me. So I thank you for keeping this conversation directed by your faith and the lessons that can come from that. We've got a couple more comments. We can't keep all day, folks. We can't keep all day. But Rosalind Famous, she says, these conversations in combination with the press conferences are valuable. I think if you only watch the press conferences after an event, it could lead to a skewed perspective of the BPS. And I just want to say something before you might chime in is, Rosalind, every time I get in a meeting about the Daily Hour, regardless of who the person is, the one thing I say to them is the difference between what we do and other mediums is that we're bringing people here to engage directly with the general public. With press conferences, they're talking and the media's asking the questions. I literally am here to facilitate the conversation for you all to engage. And that's why 5.5 years in, I really love and appreciate that people like the Deputy Commissioner of Police trust this platform enough to come on and engage with you. So thank you, Rosalind, for recognizing that. And to Deputy Commissioner, thank you for engaging and allowing our audience to see you all in a different light outside of just a press conference, or reading the press release.
Thank you. Jamal, if I just could, it was a point that was raised earlier in relation to Bermudians policing their own culture and favoritism, etc. And I just want to say, obviously within any organization, you are always going to have some form of corruption. And obviously more in organizations where we have power. You're always going to have corruption. And, sometimes people may see, someone has been dismissed from the police service and, we get the feedback of what's going on there, what's happening. I want people to know that we actually look. And I say that the Bermuda Police is some of the most ethical people around because we do know these people. They are our friends. We work with them daily. We know their children. We know their spouses. But we are still maintaining our ethical and our integrity obligations. So when we put people through a process and then at the end of the process, say, for example, they are dismissed, it's not because we are so much bad than any other organization in Bermuda. It's because we are looking. So we do police ourselves and we do police our communities. We conduct our arrests. We do our search warrants, and I can even speak to it. I have family members that have chosen to engage the law on the opposite side of me. Well, you just declare that and you move away from it. So when people look at the police and say, can we police our own community? Well, we have been doing that for over a century. We have been doing that. Will we benefit from having other people come into the Bermuda Police Service? Absolutely, because what we need to recognize is that it's not just Bermudians living in this community. We have Filipinos, we have Caribbean people, we have Americans, we have Canadians. So imagine if we have different people coming in from different countries, that those people who are not necessarily local, but they are residents, they have someone that they could reach out to as well. So I just wanted to throw that point in there, that perspective.
Thank you for that. And I must add, I'm going to share my story. I got 2 speeding tickets as a teen. And, I have 2 first cousins for sergeants, and the person holding the radar gun knows me very well today. I never expected, and I guess it was the way I was raised. None of my tickets were ever pulled. I went through the process. I was taught at a very early age about consequences. And so I never understood that part of it. But I guess there's an expectation in a small community that's what comes with the territory. But thank you for addressing that. But I want to touch on something real quickly that I think we have to. In the United States in 2020, many organizations were creating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, DEI programs. And at that time, you saw a surge of Black women, being appointed to many positions, much of them called diversity, VP of DEI, and so on. Well, over the last year, since I'm going to say the political change, you've seen a lot of organizations, especially government-funded ones like universities, remove their DEI programs. And the biggest demographic who have lost positions, according to the many articles, of Black women.
Yes.
As a woman who has worked hard to get to where you are, is there a sense or or feeling that sometimes women are looked at like they didn't earn these positions, like I'm just this DEI hire, or how do you feel about that as a woman who has like had an incredible journey and work to get to where you are?
Well, I face that here, just to be quite honest. I heard the comment that people say, "Oh, she got it because she's a female, or she got it because at the time the governor was Black and I was Black and female, so that's what happened." And just my perspective is I just don't put energy into those people. As the saying goes, if you argue with a fool, anyone walking across is not going to know who's the fool. So
Mhm,
I do not put energy into people that make those comments. Is it a bit upsetting? Yes, especially when you know that you have worked hard, when you have put the energy in, when you have proven results of your leadership, of your work ethic.
mhm,
So when you know that, it is a little bit, it could like grunge on you a little bit,
mhm,
but you have to, I always say, what perspective do I believe the person is coming from?
mhm,
And if I feel the perspective that the person is coming from is that they are trying to attack me for no just reason,
mhm,
I put zero, zero, zero energy into it. You'll be
mhm,
standing in that corner right by yourself. So
mhm,
I'm not going to lead into that. I like I said, I have my self-worth. I know what I have done in my career. Other people know what I have done in my career. So when we have those comments that come from persons who say, so and so is getting it just because they are Black, or just because they are female, or from whatever
mhm,
minority group. Um, just be careful of that, because you are actually degrading them in a very subliminal way, and maybe that is the intention of the comment. But
mhm.
all I can do is continue to walk in my space and continue to progress through.
Indeed. We're gonna let you go, I promise, but just a
That's
couple of
okay.
questions. When you look at the state of Bermuda from a safety perspective, what would you say to Bermudians to, um, I guess, increase their confidence in yourself and your colleagues, in keeping them safe?
What I would say is that we care. See, we start off from a platform is that this is our home and we care. So this is not just a job for us. When we hear of these shootings, when we see of these murders, we are equally as devastated. And a lot of times, the public may not always see exactly what the police are doing, because some of them are warrants and covert. And frankly, if you are not involved in that type of behavior, you
Mhm,
probably wouldn't see the police on your doorstep as we are to others. We've had a recent arrest in the murder of Janae Miners. We've actually conducted several firearms warrants within the last couple weeks. We've had several arrests in relation to bladed articles. So are we working hard? We are absolutely working hard. Could we do more to probably communicate the results of what we are doing? Absolutely. I think that that's an area that we can improve upon, and we discussed that earlier. Because if you don't know, then in your mind, it may not be happening. But there is a lot of work taking place. There are a lot of arrests. We are working feverishly to try to say, how can we address not only that, but the drugs, the domestic violence, obviously, and work in and around and all aspects of Bermuda. And then obviously we have calls for service. So what I would say is, um, we typically I'm here 12-hour days, easily. On weekends, nights, phones are ringing, we're on emails, we're trying to make things work. We've shifted officers' duties. I don't know if people can imagine, but if you worked a 9 to 5 and then your boss is saying, listen, I need you to work late tomorrow, I need you to work the weekend. And the officers are very flexible because in January, we just care and we want to solve this problem as well. And we also want to make sure that when we go sleep at night, that we can say that we gave it our all. And that's what I even send out to the staff. I say, listen, if you leave work and you haven't felt you've given it your all, then you have not done your job today. You should be
Mhm.
feeling like every time you come to work, I have left myself on the table. And every time I leave work, I could tell you, I leave myself on the table. I rejuvenate in my car going home because I have a 13-year-old daughter and I help her with her math and I want to listen to her day. And obviously we have to switch roles to go back home. But I could tell you that from us, we are leaving ourselves on the table and we are trying every avenue known to man what we could do to make Bermuda safer.
Indeed. Final question for you, Deputy Commissioner. What advice would you give to young women who have watched your journey or listened to you this morning and they're like, wow, I
What
want to,
I sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, I want to do that.
Yeah, I would say begin to lead where you stand. Is always leading opportunities in whatever you are doing and just keep trying it. What I would say personally is as I was going through the ranks, sometimes I had people coming to me saying, "Ah, do you really want to do that? Is that really something you want to do? I don't know. I don't know." But there's really same people that was going for the same process.
Mhm,
So what I would say is be careful who you take advice from
mhm,
and just try it. There are different things that you can do, different leadership roles, and it's not as scary as people make it out to be. I think, even as I was going through the ranks, people say, "Oh, that's going to be so hard. I don't know." They try to put self-doubt in your head, but yet they're trying to clear the path for themselves. So make sure you clear your own path. Be prepared to work hard. Be prepared to not be liked. That's a challenge that a lot of people do not talk
mhm.
about a lot. You don't reach this role by giving everybody ice cream and a lollipop. Not everyone's going to be happy with you at work. At work they I hear them, they call me the iron lady, because you know um this job cannot be taken lightly. Very fierce in what I do, and sometimes people are not always going to like what you do, and that's okay. We're not always here to be liked. We're here to get a job done. So just be prepared not to be liked, to step forward. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to speak in meetings, and also get a champion. Champions are important because you could be working as hard as you can, but decisions are made in boardrooms and in different meetings. And if you don't really have someone on your side that's championing what you're doing and advocating, saying, listen, Naima did this job and I think it's a great, she'll be great for a next project or she'd be great for this training, it just makes it a little bit harder to navigate through and step forward because women are natural born leaders, just like men are, but we have a different perspective and our perspective must be heard because we bring an equilibrium to the meeting rooms, to decisions, and we just, you know, uh, bring a different focus. And we have those gut instincts. Like when we see our children, we're like, "What you doing? What you doing over there?" Because we know it. We don't know by what you say, but we know by how you're acting. So listen to your instincts. Have faith, and I am always here. My cell phone number is out there, my email is out there. If anyone needs any support, wants to have a pity party, because sometimes we need this too, because life don't always go great. I am available for that. So we need to see women. It is a lot harder sometimes with the shift work and things for women. I appreciate that. And then we have women a lot at the entry level, and we are just pushing and pushing hard to move women up through the supervisory and the leadership levels.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I really, and I echo what Ms. Allen Kate Horton has said. I appreciate the BPS. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Naima. This has been excellent. Thank you for opening up and sharing your journey with us. There's still a lot of questions, and hopefully, I mean, we have a great relationship with the BPS. We can have further conversations going forward. But thank you for trusting this platform enough to share personal and professional stories that I hope that this audience and Bermudians in particular can be inspired and see hope that can deliver the results that we want and need in our community for not just women, but the safety of everyone. So thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner, and we'll be in touch. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much for having me, and have a good day, Bermuda. Stay blessed.
All right. Deputy Commissioner of Police Naima Astwood. Folks, if you're streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram, you know what to do. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, share this conversation on WhatsApp. That was one of the most beautiful conversations I can say we've had in a while. And we have them often, folks. We have them often, but it just seems like those come once in a while. So make sure you share it. She was very open in her story, and hopefully someone is left inspired by what was discussed this morning. But don't go anywhere, because I've got a little music trivia question coming up for you, the Daily Play. And if you're a fan of R&B, it's an R&B related question. I want to see how many people out there are true R&B heads from the 90s. Stick with us. We'll be back in about a minute, 24 seconds.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal, cost-effective risk management cover to help protect your business, whether it be cyber, directors and officer liability, professional indemnity, or property insurance. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our full suite of competitive corporate insurance products. At Friesenbrook, we provide insurance you can count on.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazoc Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Thank you so much to Deputy Commissioner of Police Naima Astwood for stopping by with that most important and engaging community conversation. Again, folks, whatever platform you're on, if you appreciate it, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Also want to give big thanks to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis and pump through the radio airwaves on Hot 107.5 with these conversations. Folks, it is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it's music today. All right, let's go. If you were an R&B fan in the 90s, all right, the 90s, you should know this answer. According to Deborah Cox, who is supposed to be here? All right. Cherie Dill came up first. Nobody. I think, what's that song? How did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Nobody. All right. Mark Arthur Steve Phillips, nobody. Traveling Trotty, nobody. Winston Godwin, nobody. Stacey Ann Brown, Wilson, Manuela John. All right. You all know your R&B. You know your R&B. Deputy Commissioner, I see that answer. That's between us. We've got Xenotrot. Nobody. Okay. Well, you all passed the RMB test. You passed the RMB test. But let me wrap it up for you today. Regarding police recruitment and hiring, look, I think at the end of the day, what Deputy Commissioner said, I think we live in a time though where we want instant gratification. We want things immediately. We need more police officers. The Bermuda Police Service has put out ads to try to recruit locally. As an entrepreneur over the last 7 years, I know I can tell you how hard it is to recruit for what I believe are fun positions. I could only imagine how hard it is to recruit people who need to be of a certain mental capacity, physical, emotional. It must be difficult. And I think we're all in agreement that the Bermuda Police Service needs to increase its numbers. To do that, we just don't have the numbers in Bermuda, and we have to accept that we have to go outside and bring people in. So I'm all for it. I believe that we will be able to get the right people that we can embed in our community and become members of our community with their families. And hopefully it leads to an improvement in the relations between Bermudians and the Bermuda Police Service. As far as the conversation with Deputy Commissioner Astwood, I am grateful, man, that people like Deputy Commissioner Astwood trust our platform to engage with all of you. As I said, I'm just here to facilitate the conversation. But because of you, because of all of you having the questions and comments, and because of the guests like her being open to answering your questions, we are able to have these conversations with you on a regular basis. She said so much that I really hope that all of us digest, have conversations around the water cooler at the next family gathering. I really, really do hope that we take these conversations beyond the hour that we're here, because she said so much we can learn from how important supportive family is, not just in fathers showing up, but when she was going through her medical challenges, how her family was there to support her, how her colleagues supported her, how she deals with those who question whether she's capable of doing the job and being in the position. There were lessons in so many things that were said here today. And I really, really, truly hope that we share those things and that someone is inspired by her journey. Daily inspiration, honestly, I'll just tell you, go back and watch the entire conversation with the Deputy Commissioner of Police. That's your daily inspiration for the day. Because I cannot remember a more inspiring conversation than what we had today. All right, I will let you go on that note, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations on Hot 107.5. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow, where we have a firebrand. We have Rekai Emery coming on, and we'll be speaking about state of Bermuda and politics. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.